correctly at that
That's
thing.
like minimum.
That's pretty badass.
All right.
Well, episode 2.
Yes, well, so
It's supposed to be getting better at something.
there's a bag in my feet that I was told expressly not to look in. I am excited to see what the contents are.
That's what it's going for. The element of surprise and anxiety.
Oh, I got a lot of that.
Well, sorry to give you more.
All right.
I don't have my paper that I wrote for us, so
Well, I'll hold it down with some jib jab.
we're not going to stop the timeline on the video, but I'll be back in like seconds.
Because we value earnestness, and if we go towards every take with the possibility of trashing it to the ether, then we're not doing our best. So we want to do our best for you.
Right. We're not trying to put out any trash for our people and ourselves. All right, so this is episode 2 of an indeterminate amount of episodes, is what I wrote up top, because we don't really know what our goal is here.
I mean, if we were to outset and say we're only going to make 100 episodes, that'll really short dick us in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it would also be kind of a fun challenge. I don't know. There's like game types where you can't if this character dies, you don't get to play it again. So that would be kind of fun.
I don't know about that, but I always approach it like love, where you just do it the best you can in the moment and have no expectations.
I'm with it. And so we're just continuing to try to set up our relationship with each other and
Right.
what we are looking for as far as just letting people know who we are with this show and all that. So we're trying to still set that up being episode 2, I would say.
Yeah. Like some details that people might not know about me. I am a disabled veteran. You wouldn't know by looking at me, but sure am. Some people think that's an important detail.
People get license plates about that.
People get license plates. People get licenses about that. People get hats about that. People get entire personalities on
I'm
that.
pretty sure there's biker gangs devoted just to that.
Yeah, pretty much. But I just don't think it's an important aspect of my personality. But some might, so I say it.
Yeah, I think it's a valuable thing to identify, because there are people that were like, thank you for your service. And I would be that, because as much as there's bullshit involved with our governmental aspects, it still shows a lot about a person's makeup to be willing to sacrifice in their own mind that kind of time to do something.
I think war is the responsibility of the aristocracy. Being a soldier and actually making it work is the job of the proletariat. And I think if you disagree with war, you still have the latitude to be thankful for people that choose the selfless, very little paying career for the betterment of what they believe is their country. And so, all in all, if you're going to say something to somebody, talk about their own choices. Don't conflate somebody's choices with your politics.
it's a good way to put it, especially involving with the soldier and aristocrat difference there. I like that. I agree with that, and I've never had it put exactly like that. Good job. Yeah, I mean, what do I have that's true about me that people would get license plates about is what I'm thinking here.
Living in Colorado,
Yeah, Colorado native, frontiers ship.
have you ever fought a fire?
Right?
Have you ever had breast cancer?
Breast cancer awareness. I don't know what. I was kind of thinking what plate I would buy. Colorado native or pioneer probably, because on my biological father's side we have been in Colorado for almost like 200 years. So that's pretty cool. Really long time. So that would probably be the one that I went. So I'm an old school Colorado native, minus the people that we stole the land from, of course.
I would get the collector's plate because I'm one of a kind, baby.
Nice. And you were made more than 20 years ago.
I was.
That's how that works, actually.
I'm an
the collector's
antique.
plate. Cool. And so we'll I don't know. We could go back and forth and just dictate and describe lists about ourselves, but I think that'll just kind of happen over time.
I know it will.
And I'm ready just to move on to some of our other content.
Why not?
Yeah. So this is perhaps a new segment, or maybe a show that will an episode idea that we'll mix in. And it's just called Have Litton Explain Some Shit. And why that's fun, because we both have a pretty good way with words, we like to think, and we get told that a lot. But my brother here, Litton, is extremely good at explaining kind of some higher level ideas in really layman's terms, and also expanding lay ideas into pretty higher level terms. So what I have here Actually, just to kind of bring it in and make the reality of our scene and our setting a little bit more real for people, can you explain sound diffusion and these things behind us?
Okay, so here's my opportunity to sound really smug because sound diffusion and sound absorption are two very separate things, and these are sound absorbers. And he was talking about sound diffusion.
Yeah, see, this is why I haven't explained things so I can use the right words.
So a mirror is very flat, and so are walls. And light bounces off a mirror like sound bounces off a wall, in the sense that the angle that it incides with the wall is the angle at which it will accide or reflect off of. And that means that you want something other than a flat surface to have in a studio, because you just don't want an echo chamber. You want something that sounds live and diffuse and interesting and spacious and satisfying and full. And so what you do, instead of having an echo like you would at the Grand Canyon, you would get this breathy, spacious, like I said, longer, lengthened, spread out, convoluted return. Instead of one solid echo, it would be a smear of sound coming back at you instead of all at once. Because instead of it being like a mirror, it's like trying to split a laser. You have to make it go in separate directions instead of it continuing on in a linear path. You want it to break up into diffuse light. Like we have there, that's diffused lighting, that's diffused lighting, that's diffused lighting. And you're hearing diffused sound. If you heard an undiffused sound, you would hear a clap and then a second clap. If you had diffused sound, you'd hear a clap and then basically a hissing sound. And so what these do, these absorb waves that are hitting them instead of reflecting them in a kind of scattered way that a sphere might. These flat panels absorb sound and don't let the sound out again. So what we're doing is we're just killing the ambient sound in the room. We're killing the room modes that would cause us to sound honky or boxy or boomy or anything like that. And what it's doing is it's letting more of a ratio of direct vocal sounds to room sounds, and so therefore I sound more crisp, clear, and defined. And so the ideal room would be half absorptive, half diffusive, in the sense that if it was all absorptive, it would be an anechoic chamber, and you would be able to hear your blood circulate, and you would go crazy in short order. And if it was all diffuse, it would be an echo chamber. It would be
Also probably
talking
make
to
you go
yourself.
crazy.
It would probably also make you go crazy. So a combination of of those two in very intentional,
Mathematical, even.
mathematical, calculable design is what will create the most dynamic and detail-oriented listening environment possible to the human ear.
Sweet. That all makes a lot of sense. There's a couple jokes in there I wanted to get in, but I let them pass because I'm trying to be respectful about interjection. And you said, sound a little honky. And I was like, come on, that's too easy. So I
Yeah.
let that one fly by. And then I guess it's not more of a joke. It's more of like just kind of a cool idea. You used a term about a chamber of all absorption. What was
Right.
it?
An anechoic chamber.
Anechoic.
Right.
Is that exactly what they put like straitjacket people in? A padded room? Is that
Well,
kind
that's
of
a padded room. A padded room works like that, but an anechoic chamber is
It's
different
designed
from a padded room.
for the sound effect.
Is designed for the sound effect. The padded chamber is designed for
People not breaking their heads on walls.
impact of bone on wall. And so the difference is that a padded chamber is going to have harder pads
Yeah.
than anechoic chambers. Anechoic chambers is going to have a wire mesh floor, so that the floor is going to be the exact same materials as the wall to have the exact same absorptive qualities.
You're standing in like a floating wire mesh cage.
Basically, yeah. And then so the walls are going to be conical or pyramid shaped, so that they get more thick as you go closer to the boundary of the wall. And that is what creates an anechoic chamber, so that you can hear basically your hair grow.
Now I'm thinking of the chamber they hold Magneto in X-Men.
Precisely.
But like your superpower would be like controlling sound, and then putting you in an anechoic chamber might like make you hurt yourself with your superpower.
Ooh.
I don't know, just a weird comic strip thing. But that was pretty cool. And that's I actually didn't know, we just call these sound panels in
Yeah.
our basic deal. So I did know that they absorb, but see, that's still a good explanation for myself to say, because the diffusers were the bowling balls.
Yes.
So quite hard, dense as fuck, versus soft and not as dense.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sweet. And would it be like 1-to-1 bowling ball panel almost, or it'd be a lot more mathematical than that?
So it would have to do with the room modes, and the room modes are deduced from the dimensions of the room. Say if you have a perfect cube and you have like a perfect 100 hertz resonance in all dimensions, what you would do is you'd create devices that would interact with the wavelength of 100 hertz.
Right.
And so you would create something of the size of that with the contours that have dimensions correlating to the wavelength of the frequency that you're trying to nullify. And with absorption, you just have to make it big enough so that the wave can't just wrap around it and continue traveling on the other side. You want it to be able to hit it and stop moving.
That makes sense. So we're really talking about the size of that sound panel as well. Sweet. Well, that was a fun one, and we like to. I love having Litton in my house and in my life because I get to ask those really cool, specific questions. And even though it's higher level than I might need to exercise things I'll exercise, I still appreciate understanding things.
Yeah.
And I think other people do too. Like people may not ever build sound panels themselves.
Right.
But that gives them a good idea to like understand a little bit of what it means, I think.
I think if you're not able to explain the things that you know, you're either a gatekeeper or you sincerely do not know the things you know as well as you think you know them.
Exactly. If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough, is the simple way to say that.
Yeah.
And I also bring it up because these are really important. This is our studio, as we said last episode, for all of our music recording as well. And Litton, loves to build these panels because of how cool the effect is. So if you could reach out to him directly, I don't want to offer your services, but maybe you could help people do this with their own place.
I learned how to make them. I am certain that you can learn how to make them if in case that's what you want to do. And because all it takes is 2 hand tools and an hour of your time, basically. And it's no harder than making a birdhouse, basically. And everybody's made one of those.
Yeah. If you made it through 7th grade, you're good to build this, I would say.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one, have Litton explain some shit again.
Okay.
This one,
get tired.
It's a little different. I mean, we could just banter a little bit if
No,
there's some...
I'm just being facetious. Bring
Okay,
it on.
cool. Well, you are a tired, thirsty bitch.
Fair enough.
So this one is definitely larger. So I think we'll save the second one that I wrote because I was trying to think that was meaty. We'll use that as the last one. So the other one that I want to talk about is why, and it's also involved with sound. So this is a pretty cool thematic idea. My sentence that I exactly wrote were why we need to / should be wearing earplugs at concerts or bars.
Okay, so I'm going to throw some numbers out at you, and this is going to be the root position from which my argument will grow. You can listen to sound at a level of 86 decibels of sound pressure level for 8 hours. That is one's ostensible workday duration.
Excuse me. Had to get it up.
So what we're calculating that for is like the average work day, and it's probably louder at your work than it is at your house. I don't know, but we are saying that 86 decibels of sound pressure level over 8 hours of time is acceptable. That point, you will not lose any hearing. If you increase it by 3 decibels, you half the time that you can expose yourself to that sound before hearing damage occurs. So let's say you have 86 decibels of sound pressure level over 9 hours, you're damaging your hearing. Even though that's relatively quiet, even though that's like a low roar, like an engine running outside your house,
Still
basically.
It's tiring your ear out.
It's tiring your ear out. And you lose high frequencies in your hearing before you lose low frequencies is because your cochlea in your ear is built like a spiral, and basically it hits the opening of that conch shell first, and the frequencies that are sensed by the cilia that are closest to the opening where you are first hearing sounds are the highest frequencies. So the cilia along the cochlea, which is the conch-shaped organ inside your ear, has a lot of little hairs on the inside, and they vibrate sympathetically with the vibrations outside your ear, allowing you to hear it. And so if you vibrate those cilia too much, they become brittle and break off and never are usable again. And
They
this
don't
is
grow
what
back.
ever.
That's it.
That's it. And so that's why it's dangerous. It's just like gum disease and gingivitis, because you can't regenerate gum tissue, so you can't regenerate the cilia in your cochlea.
Right.
And so if you have 86 dB SPL for 8 hours, fine. If you have 89 dB SPL,
You can only do for 4 hours.
4 hours. And then if you have 92, you can only have for 2 hours, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's pretty impactful because that's really not much of a change. 86 is a pretty normal volume for people
Right.
to exist in.
Right.
And so 89, not much different. But
Like-
the fact that half the time and the damage, that's...
I could easily shout at 80 plus dB. I'm not going to prove it to you, but I just want to let you know how real world this is. It's not out of your it's not inconceivable to say that you're damaging your hearing day to day without you even knowing it.
Right,
And so
right.
what these are, these little devices that help us not damage our ears as professionals, because I don't have my ears insured. I got to take care of them the old fashioned way, which is just not listen to loud stuff. What you got to do is you got to have earplugs that are rated at a certain dB SPL attenuation, which is reduction. And ours range from 15 to 25 dB attenuation, which means that we can listen to sounds around us that are, let's say, 25 decibels louder than that day-to-day maximum of 86 for the exact same duration that the person listening to 86 with no hearing protection at all with the same endurance. So if we were at a concert, we'd be able to listen to that concert, let's say, for its runtime of, let's say for the sake of argument, it's 4 hours long. We could listen to that with absolutely no hearing damage with the use of earplugs. But if we were in a loud machine shop that was just having background noise without ear protection, we would sustain hearing damage without having known it. And I think that the fact that it's so not traumatic, the fact that it's so not
almost like white
perceptible
background noise.
The fact that it's not even showing up on your radar as loud noises
That's more dangerous.
It's the nature of the danger. And so the people that go to concerts, you're deaf the next day. You understand the impact that loud sounds have on you. But people that are working, let's say next to a highway, where
Jackhammer worker, or
anything like that, you're slowly losing your hearing, and you will never get it back. And there are parts of songs that I would not deign to relinquish to hearing loss. I want to hear all the music that I make, all the music that my favorite artists make, and all of the parts of the music for the rest of time. And so because of that, I will protect my hearing, and I will use something greater than 15 dB SPL attenuation in my ear protection.
Yeah, it's a great example, and I am the how not to be example of that, because I've been to all sorts of stuff, never even considered protecting my ears, and now I have seriously hard hearing. Like, I have to really focus on hearing things. If I have any sort of nasal congestion, then I'm just absolutely deaf. I have to like read lips and things like that, and so it's something that I do like to bring up to people, because I don't think, that, especially that example of that kind of regular background construction noise or what have you. I mean, if you ride the bus a lot and it's loud on the bus, even would be too loud. We go to bars and we're just like, gosh, people are just, the whole ambiance is too loud. So I think a lot of people just aren't aware of why you might do that. And I think it's important to do that because we want to help people protect their ears and all of their selves. Mm-hmm. So that's a sweet thing. Yeah, that's all I have for earplugs.
Cool.
Sweet. So, part 3 of Have Litton Explain Some Shit is this is going to be an extremely ongoing visit, and something that we're always adding to with our own conversations. You have certainly, this is your idea, and I have agreed a lot with some of the things you've put up, and we've kind of reformatted some things together with it, I would like to say. The unified theory of funk.
Oh shit! Should I just go?
I would say probably, yeah. Give us as a nice, like, what is this? Why do we care about it? What is it? It's like is it a philosophy? What are we looking at here?
Well, I think the unified theory of funk to me is my beginning, middle, and end as to why I think funk is the best, and why I will listen to funk music forever, and why I have a strong opinion of what funk is and isn't. Like, what separates disco from funk other than a closed hi-hat? I have no idea. But if I listened to it, I could be able to tell you, and the fact that it makes me feel a certain way in my heart. But the unified theory of funk, to me, is what creates funk and why funk is important, not to just me, but to the nation. In the fact that funk, I think, is
The human nation, for the record.
the human nation. My argument starts small scale in the sense that like it's important to me, and then I tell like why it's important for my expression. Then I would outline why it's important for the nation, because funk to me is a living bastion of American culture in a way that no white person could ever claim. Because there's so many things that have been injected into the contiguous 48 states, the contiguous 48 states that are arguably culture, and they are pieces of culture that belong to certain nationalities or ethnicities, and things can be described in the local languages. Like everybody likes fried dough with some filling in it, whether you call it empanadas or pierogies. Every single country loves it. We might call it like a hot pocket or a stromboli. Who knows? Like we have so many options as to the origins of our favorite thing. Like every country has a fried sugary piece of dough. We have a donut. But every country also has like its form of intrinsic, inseparable, culturally essential ones and twos on the drums. And a lot of places call it polka, a lot of places call it folk music. America just calls it funk. And it took a long time to go from field hollers to spirituals to blues to jazz to funk. But I think funk is a durable medium in which to express one's true inner nature. And the simple fact that funk never has to stop is one thing that mirrors the human condition and our entire human experience as a whole. And so I'm really happy to talk about it. I just need a little bit of direction, I guess.
No, I think that's a good kind of catch up and just overall blanket statement of what's going on. Something that we talk about a lot, and we, with our studying music, we see is bringing it back to the one.
Yes.
And that also brings back to the idea of the eternalness of life, of the idea of life. Maybe not our individual lives, but life is and always will be, right? And so you have these patterns, and you have these historical patterns, and maybe ice ages and stuff, and that's almost in itself bringing it back to the one in a big universal way, right? And so just expand on the idea of bringing it back to the one a little bit.
Okay, well, bringing it back to the one in the most simplistic mammalian human rights is the two-phase system of your heart beating, where it goes lub-dub. You gotta get some lubs, gotta get some dubs.
Gotta get the love for the dubs.
But when you bring it back to the lub, that's just reassuring, because we were in the womb once listening intimately to our mother's heartbeat, and we really got a knack for recognizing it, and then the highs and lows, and you get a squish of blood, and that vitalizes you, brings oxygen to all your organs and brain. But then you get like negative pressure, where it has to fill the ventricles again and then just push out with the arteries. And so basically it's just this system of tension and release, where you have expectation, and then you resolve that expectation with exactly what you wanted. You have simplicity, you abstract your simplicity and develop it into something a bit unrecognizable, a bit uncomfortable, and then you bring the comfort right back in with whatever it might be, whether it's hunger and satiety.
Society.
I think satiety is the word. Hunger and satiety, or insecurity and security, or thirst and quenching, or day and night. It's basically just diametrically opposed things, and then you go to one to create the expectation and suspense of wanting the other, and then you get the other, and then it's just capitalizing on maybe the human condition that it is to want something that you don't have. If you go on the one, I got the one, where's the two? You go to the two, I have the two, where's the one? Beyond that, it is more so a grand design on what it is to be human, in the sense that we spin these narratives of I succeed, and then I have succeeded, and then what else is there?
What can I succeed at again?
What can I succeed at again? People go to the nth degree, they succeed in their dreams, they get $1 million, they realize that that wasn't exactly what was going to cure their human condition for them, so they need to start from square one again. You do something, and then you do with all this vivaciousness and all of this suffering, and then you break through the other side to realize you're back where you started again. And I feel like that is the most poetic way to embody the funk ideal of bringing you back to the one.
Yeah, and I think it touches on you did a good job touching on the idea of the balance between the good and the bad, or the dark and the light, or whatever. And the one in this, for the human condition, in a very general term, is wanting to search for another thing to find.
Yeah, precisely.
Because if you succeed at it, got your $1 million, you come back and you're like, well, shit, that wasn't what I was satisfied with. Or you set your goal for $1 million, you don't get it, and then you realize that you failed or you didn't get there, but you're still back at the one. So either way, you're always getting back at this baseline or the one. And there was a joke that came in my head that's just a funny idea. When I say a joke, it's not like I have an exact joke written out already. It's more of like an idea of a funny idea that I haven't fleshed out. It's a premise. Thank you. There's a premise around the idea of an eternal joke of the chicken and the egg. What comes first, the lub or the dub? You know,
Precisely.
We don't know. But there's the one is the one, and that's the comfort area. I think that's a pretty fun overall coverage of bringing it back to the one, and a touch on the unified theory of funk. Why I thought this was a cool idea, and why I think it's going to continue to be a cool idea, is Litton will often come to me. He just woke up, or I just got up, and he's like, I have something new for my unified theory of funk. And I'm always excited to hear it because it's really cool. We get into some pretty specific things. I don't know how much you are trying to tie that into the Frisener's handbook.
I don't think I am at all, but the unified theory of funk, why do I do it? Why do I do it?
When you first brought it up to me, it felt like it was a context of like you wrote this as a paper for some class or something like.
Oh, I know why I do it. Okay, so I make the unified theory of funk because the beginning edition was me trying to define funk, and I felt like I did a pretty good job of doing it, and the notions were something similar to, yo, life is crazy. We don't know what the fuck is going on, but we're right here, right now, and we know that we're okay. And that means that we can make next moment better and continue with this current forward momentum. And that was basically my entire beginning notion of the unified theory of funk. But why it's important to me is because there's this thing called hip vernacular, and it's a bunch of lingo that jazz cats use. And they say a lot of weird, off-the-wall shit that would have no context and would leave you scratching your head. But a lot of things that people say, I want to know the surgical definition of literally everything they've said. And so if they don't know what they're saying, I make up a meaning for what they've said, and then I internalize that, and I turn around, and then I use those pieces of lingo informed with like a cavalcade of research and critical thought.
Right, and so bringing it all back to the one, the idea that you expanded the idea of your own definition of funk because you were even using terms yourself. They're like, oh, I guess that's not clear enough yet.
Right.
And so and I bring up the Frisener's Handbook. It's a book Litton has started about helping humans be human, essentially, to dumb it down really shittily. But I think it would be a cool idea to involve the unified theory of funk, or like at least a universal, in the universe of the Frisener's Handbook version of it.
I would like it to be, I would like the quote, unified theory of funk, end quote, to be like a forerunner to the Friseners that actively chase the goosebumps to music. Maybe it was like the alchemists versus chemistry. Is like really crude attempts at creating a panacea for the human condition through music.
Perfect. I always hear it said
Panacea?
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's another one that's.
I hear echinacea, and then I look at panacea, and then I read it panacea. So
I don't think you're wrong necessarily. It sounded fun to hear it like that. So I just wanted to call it out because I was like, I don't know if you're doing that as an informed, that's specifically how everybody's accepted to say it, or that's just how it came out.
I don't think I've ever heard it out loud.
No, me either, but I may have just adopted a new way to say panacea.
It's almost like echinacea is a panacea for what ails you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's like echinacea is Clark Kent and panacea is Superman. Cool. Well, we have. I don't know how long we went into that. You want to check, see how long we're recording? I don't want to. I think we have about
Half an hour.
A little bit over half an hour. Yeah, that's right. So I didn't have anything else specifically to talk about on this paper, and we could get into the bag if it's time to do that.
I think it's time to do that.
I think it's pretty good time to do that. We don't have any specific time in mind with our episodes, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So
we're longer than a network television show.
yeah, no commercials needed either. So to be safe for this segment, we have to clear off the liquid things. Probably make a little bit of space in between us. And it's now time for the motivational and core segment of the show, which is getting better at something every time that we get onto the camera with you guys here. And today, what are we getting better at? Do you remember?
I think it's ping pong balls on random paddles.
Yes, and we ended up naming it paddlesack. So our goal is to get 5 successful volleys, which means I hit it, you hit it, that's a volley.
Okay.
And we want 5 of those back and forth. So we
That's
each hit
fair.
it 5 complete times.
Yeah.
That's our nominal goal. And here's what's in the bag, folks. I have, of course, 1 ping pong ball. And then we have 4 options of tools. Our paddles, if you will.
Okay.
Okay?
4-hour sack.
For the sack. And these are pretty funny, and this is why I'm going to pull it one by one. So, option 1, nice hardback book. Forgot what we got. Biology by Martin Lindstrom sounds like some weird Ayn Rand consumer stuff. I don't want that. Not about the book, it's the fact that it's a hard book. We've got Epic Mickey Wii case. Okay? Went with the CD case. Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. That's a good CD. This is, I wish we had 2 of these, but it's the best option. And you get the first choice since it's my shtick. An omelet pan.
I feel like the book or the pan might have the best control because like the CD and the DVD has some give and therefore like are not super hard and wouldn't bounce back. So I feel like we're gonna end up with the pan and the book in the end, at least if we're going for, you know, quality over quantity.
Since we're trying to have that successful volley, we might have to switch paddles.
I think just to punish you, I want you to use the pan. And I can't tell you what to do, but I'm going to use this book, Biology by Martin Maelstrom or whatever it was. So, who's serving, and what do you think the mode is? Do you think you want to like crouch and not sit down, or do you want to like back up?
I think it's kind of funnier if we just back up and maintain our sitting posture because it just it sounds funny to me.
Okay, so we have to like make a baseline of like let's give it an earnest go, see how good we are, and then of course improve from there. Our goal is to do 5 volleys. If we do more than that in the first try, we'll do better next time.
Yeah, then maybe we'll actually start playing on the table and play again.
Oh fuck!
We'll see. All right, getting better at
Paddle sack.
All right, here it is. Oh, too strong. Oh, dang it. This is going to be hard.
This is going to be really hard.
Okay.
So that's a very stiff pan.
This is a very stiff pan.
Get it right in my lap.
That was a lot better.
Okay, sweet. Okay.
That was fun. I think that was challenging enough.
Now we actually got to go for 5.
That
Like we
was
can't
2.5,
stop until
I
we do
think.
5 because once you make a goal, you got to go for it like a raging bull.
Only one way. I think that was 2. We got to say it out loud. So,
Okay. You say like 1, I say 1.
yeah, here we go. Paddle sack number 3. 1,
1,
2,
2.
3. No, that was my fault. No, we only have 1 ping pong ball.
Is it behind the pan?
Behind this little box right here. Sweet. And see, our intuition was already good because we knew we were going to be doing this for about 10
Today, I saw somebody also making a video effort because they're bored, and more power to them. They were just taping White Claws onto the interior of a garage door so that the can was opened and the opening was pointing up. and they would open the garage door, and then the White Claws would slowly pour out as it rounded the corner to be completely horizontal, and about 50% got in their mouths. But really, fun was had, and that was the importance.
So I'm here in front of the garage door watching this White Claw go up above my head like that, and I just follow it.
Yeah.
I want to try that, actually.
It doesn't seem unoriginal, you know?
No, and also, we have a lot of history with White Claw.
All right.
Paddlesack, attempt 4, going for 5. Here's 1.
1.
2. Oh, what a crazy... That was like an...
Are you sure you don't want to use like the back of your hand?
We can try it.
But
it just feels a little bit more comfortable. Let's try it.
Okay. 1.
Yeah, see, I had more control the other way.
For sure, I get you.
It's cool. Here we go. And I didn't say a number. 1.
1.
2.
2.
3.
3.
4.
4.
5.
If I threw the book at it, it would have counted. Ah. Whoo. 1.
2.
1, 2.
2.
I had to think about the numbers.
I fucked it up because I did the numbers wrong. That's totally my fault.
This is an interesting brain exercise. 1.
1.
2.
2. Oh, I don't want to like knock your knee out.
1.
1.
2.
2. Come on, baby.
Oh no, it's not gonna.
Dang it. All right.
1.
1.
2.
2. 2. This is so hard.
This is fair. This is fair.
This is fair, but I want to keep. I want to continue. I'm committed to the pen.
Okay.
Audience.
1.
1.
You guys caught in frills.
Dang it. We all get caught in the field sometimes.
1.
1.
2.
2.
3.
3. Dang it. Angling myself. 1. Oh,
2.
1, 1. That's a 2. 2.
3.
3.
4.
4.
5.
5. One more time.
Yeah!
Woo! With the mic and all.
Knocked
Sorry,
over
Mike.
my mic, but that's fine. We fucking did it.
And now I want to cook ping pong balls sometime because this is fun.
Oh shit.
We did that with you guys, and that was pretty fun, actually. So we're excited to see some more options. I think this is going to be a fun segment where people give us ideas for getting better with something.
Of course, I think that we're not going to run out because, like the last 2 episodes of Getting Better, it's all been just like make work, basically. Don't worry, it's going to be different things. I don't think we're ever going to visit something twice unless, like, we really want to get better. But really, the nature of it is just getting better at anything, and you witnessing it, you understanding and being demonstrated to that you can get better at literally anything.
For sure, and also to... it's fun. I posted a video one time of when I've been really getting better at my handstands, and it was like 90 seconds of just my big ass legs like like not good, you know, not getting up there at all. But then at the end of it, you get a nice 10-second handstand or so, and it makes us more relatable, and it makes people more relatable to one another when we understand that we're all willing to try through the failures, because that's going to happen.
And not to get too inside baseball and everything, but I'm trying to choose things that I'm not already good at so that you can relate to how much I suck, because these are things I'm trying for the first time. Like if I were to try to show you my music creation process, my creative process,
It would be a longer video.
it would be a longer video, and also like the changes would be so subtle that it wouldn't be immediately recognizable. So we can quantify that. We can't quantify my ability to swing on a ride cymbal, you know?
Right, yeah, and that makes sense. And I like to have the simplicity of the tasks are going to be fun. We'll start to scale it up when we get outside a little bit more and do some other things too.
Yeah.
Which is surprising that you said, like, if we did something that we're already good at, because we both fancy ourselves pretty good with words. And that last episode of doing the one-word sentence was actually pretty challenging. I want to revisit the sentence because it actually is a pretty cool sentence. This is what we did last time, if you guys didn't catch the first episode. This is our one-word sentence going back and forth. I did cheat a little bit on one of them and snuck an and in there. But that's how it goes. Dictating multisyllabic, profound articles and simultaneously listening inwardly to conscious music feels exquisite.
I agree.
That's beautiful, and we do that a lot. I don't have much more today, and I really appreciate all the stuff you explained in the show. That was fun.
Yeah, hopefully I can do it more excitingly next time.
Yeah, I think I'll find a nice balance of breaking up and responding and having some like live responses in there, because I was just like listening like as if I was at a lecture.
Right. No, I felt like I was doing a good job, and I felt like you did a good job too.
Very good. Well, that's good. And so he is his constableship, GrimLock, and I am my constableship, Moses the Poet. We'll see you next time. This is really fun. Getting better.
Bye.
I am excited for the